Hello and welcome. First up, it's a fun idea if you comment your location. Thanks a lot. Remember to like and subscribe. Let's get comfy and dive in. I've always been a man of structure. Life follows a plan, one I set. As a senior accountant for a major firm, control defines me. Numbers don't lie, they tell a story. And until recently, I thought my life story was solid. Emily and I have been married 10 years. We live in a well-kept house on a quiet street where everything fits just right. She works as an art curator, handling collections for the ultra-wealthy. We're not the couple that fights, not the couple with tension boiling under the surface. At least, that's what I thought. Lately, though, something feels off. Little things, like the way she pulls away slightly when I touch her, how she spends more time on her phone, her laugh a bit forced when she talks to me. She's been taking more trips, too. Work, she says, always work. Her boss, Derek, is in the picture more than he should be. Charming, wealthy, handsome. I've met him a few times at gallery events. The kind of guy who walks into a room knowing everyone's eyes are on him. He doesn't hide his power, and Emily seems drawn to it. At first, I tried to brush it off. We all have rough patches, right? I told myself I was overthinking it. But that feeling, like something slipping through my fingers, kept gnawing at me. She started coming home later with vague excuses about extended meetings. I'd be lying in bed listening to her unlock the door at midnight, trying to gauge if she smelled different. Like him. A few nights ago, Emily went out of town again. This time it felt different. She didn't look me in the eye when she said goodbye. That night, I sat in our kitchen, her phone buzzing on the table. Forgotten. I wasn't going to snoop. That's not who I am, or at least, that's what I told myself. But then the phone buzzed again, and something in me snapped. I picked it up. The screen lit up with a message. Can't wait to see you again. I've booked the suite for tomorrow. Derek. My hands trembled, but my mind sharpened. I didn't feel rage, not yet. What I felt was cold, clear, like everything around me froze and all that mattered were the words in front of me. My wife. My wife, who swore everything was fine, who kissed me like it meant something, was meeting her boss in some hotel suite. My chest felt tight, but I kept scrolling, digging deeper. The messages were explicit, detailed. It wasn't just a fling. This had been going on for months. Her lies played in my head. Every time she said she was staying late. Just another gallery event. She'd been with him, sharing moments that should have been ours, giving herself to him, over and over again. I scrolled further, reading how they'd laugh about their little secrets. Her words, the way she responded to him, they tore at me. I was no longer her husband in those messages. I was the fool. I don't know how long I sat there reading, my fingers frozen to her phone, but when I finally stopped, something inside me shifted. This wasn't shock, wasn't the collapse of a broken man. No, this was something more precise. Revenge isn't about chaos. It's about control, about taking everything back, inch by inch. I didn't smash her phone, I didn't scream. No confrontation would satisfy what I felt growing inside me. I placed it back on the table, exactly where she'd left it. No sign that I knew, no sign that anything had changed, but everything had. Emily returned 2 days later. She kissed me on the cheek when she walked through the door, her voice sweet as ever. But I felt none of it. Her touch disgusted me now. Every lie she'd told played in the back of my mind as I watched her unpack, moving through the house like she owned it. I stayed quiet. I didn't ask her about the trip. I didn't need to. That night, as she slipped into bed beside me, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling her beside me, her warmth now a cruel joke. She was mine, but only in the shallowest sense. Her body lay next to me, but her heart, her desire, they belonged to him, but not for long. I am a man who plans. The betrayal hit me harder than I expected, but it wasn't the kind of pain that leaves you broken. No, it left me cold, calculating. Sitting on the edge of the bed that night, her phone back in its place, I felt nothing but clarity. Emily had been cheating on me for months with Derek, her boss, the man she smiled about at gallery events. The man I shook hands with at dinner parties, unaware that he was undressing her with his eyes while I stood next to her. I spent hours reading through their messages. It wasn't a fling. It wasn't just sex. It was intimate, deeply emotional, and disturbingly detailed. I knew where they met, what they did, how often they laughed at me behind my back. Every lie, every excuse replayed in my mind like a slow torture. The perfect storm had been brewing, and now I could see the entire picture. I don't scream, I don't throw things. That would be too easy for her. Instead, I study. I dig deep, analyzing every word, every emotion, like a puzzle that needs solving. My mind races ahead, planning. I won't be the victim. That's not who I am. By the time the sun rises, my plan is already forming. But first, I need more information. I need to be sure, to be thorough. I can't leave anything to chance. I'm not ready to confront her yet. Not until I can tear her world apart in the same way she's torn mine. The next day, I install spyware on her phone while she's in the shower. It takes less than 10 minutes. By the time she kisses me goodbye, all traces of my interference are gone. I stand at the door watching her drive away, my mind working through the steps like a spreadsheet. Every move must be perfect, deliberate. I follow her a few days later. She tells me she has a meeting with a potential client. Her voice is light, casual. She thinks I'm none the wiser. I watch her get into her car, and I trail her through the city. My hands grip the steering wheel tighter with every turn. She parks outside a boutique hotel. Derek is already there, leaning casually against the entrance, his expensive suit catching the morning light. They don't kiss. Not here. They know better. But their smiles, their shared looks, speak volumes. I park across the street and watch as they disappear inside. My fingers tap on the steering wheel, a steady rhythm that keeps my anger in check. I don't move, not yet. I'm gathering data, making sure every piece is in place. They think they're clever, hiding in plain sight, but I'm always 3 steps ahead. Later that night, Emily comes home, her face glowing like nothing is wrong. I sit at the dinner table, my mind already working through the next steps. I ask her about her day, and she talks about art and meetings, the same lies she's been feeding me for months. I nod, pretending to listen, while in my mind, I'm already dismantling everything. The lies, the betrayal, they've poisoned everything, but she doesn't know I've caught on. I wait a few more days before I go through her computer. I clone her emails, browsing through them as if I'm inspecting financial reports, looking for gaps, inconsistencies. The affair isn't just physical, it's professional too. Derek has been funneling her favors at work, fast-tracking her to promotions, giving her access to clients she has no business handling. My jaw clenches, but I keep reading, building the case in my head. The idea of revenge pulses through me. It's no longer just about her infidelity. It's about everything she's taken from me. My pride, my trust, my peace of mind. And Derek, he thinks he's untouchable, that his money, his power will protect him from consequences. He's wrong. I will tear his empire down brick by brick, and I'll take Emily down with him. But then, just as I begin to form the final stages of my plan, I hear something that changes everything. Emily's on the phone with Derek. I'm in the next room listening through the thin walls. Her voice is softer than it ever is with me. I can't wait any longer, Derek. We need to leave soon. I don't care what Nathan thinks. He won't know until it's too late. I freeze. They're planning to run away, to leave me in the dust like I'm nothing more than an afterthought. All the blood drains from my face and my mind shifts into overdrive. I have to move fast. My plan needs to happen now. That night, while Emily sleeps beside me, oblivious to the fact that I know everything, I make my move. I transfer the data from her phone to my computer. Every dirty secret, every text, every intimate moment, I'll use it all against them. The next morning, I wake up early, slipping out of bed without waking her. The thought of her sleeping peacefully after everything she's done fuels the fire inside me. I head to my office and start working on my revenge. Derek has investments, lots of them. High-end art, real estate, a few shady offshore accounts. All of it is accessible through the connections he's entrusted to Emily. And now, through her, it's mine. I call in a few favors from some people I've worked with over the years, people who know how to make things disappear without leaving a trace. Derek won't even see it coming. By the time he realizes his money is slipping through his fingers, it'll be too late. And Emily? She'll fall right along with him. I watch her closely over the next few days. She's nervous, jumpy. She knows something's not right, but she doesn't know it's me. I play my part well, calm, collected, the perfect husband who's none the wiser. Meanwhile, every step she takes brings her closer to the edge of the cliff I'm leading her to. Then one evening, as I'm sitting in the living room, Emily approaches me. Her eyes are cautious, and there's a tremor in her voice. "Nathan, have you noticed anything strange? With the business or us?" I look at her, my face a mask of calm. Inside, I'm seething. She's fishing, testing me to see if I've caught on, but I won't give her the satisfaction. "No," I say, my voice steady. "Why? Is something wrong?" She studies me for a moment, and I can see the wheels turning in her head. She's trying to figure me out, but she won't. Not until it's too late. She finally shakes her head, forcing a smile. "No, it's nothing. Just work stress, I guess." I nod, pretending to believe her. But I can feel the tension growing between us. She knows something's off, but she can't put her finger on it. And that's exactly where I want her. Paranoid, unsure, desperate to keep her lies intact. As she walks away, I feel the weight of everything coming to a head. The clock is ticking. Emily and Derek are planning to leave soon, and I need to act fast before they slip away. My revenge is within reach, but I'll need to be careful. One wrong move, and everything could fall apart. But I won't let that happen. I'm too close now, too close to see them both destroyed. I always believed revenge should be clean, precise. It's not about rage, it's about control. That's the part Emily and Derek won't see coming. They think I'm clueless, that I'll stumble into their trap, heartbroken, too late to stop them. But I'm watching them closer than they realize. The first step is Derek's finances. He's wealthy, of course, one of those art world darlings who flaunt it, thinking their money makes them invincible. What Derek doesn't know is that I've already begun digging into his accounts, discreetly shifting funds. As a senior accountant, I know how to move money without leaving a trail. Derek's personal wealth, I'm funneling it into a series of small, untraceable transactions, skimming from his investments just enough to raise suspicion, but not enough for him to notice immediately. I need him to feel the pressure building slowly, like a noose tightening. Emily's always been the key. Her access to Derek's accounts, her involvement in his business decisions, is my perfect in. They trust each other so much they've left everything wide open. I spend my nights in the shadows of our home, combing through their emails, piecing together how intertwined their lives have become. They think they're building a future, but I'm tearing it down from within. Then there's her reputation. The art world thrives on connections, trust, and image. One small scandal, one whispered rumor, can break everything. I've gathered enough dirt to burn it all. Derek's shady deals, the insider trading he's tied to through his gallery's acquisitions. I'll expose it all. Emily won't be spared. Her name is tied to his. The moment this information leaks, it's over for both of them. No gallery will touch her again. No investor will back him. I sit across from Emily at dinner each night, nodding, smiling, while inside I'm already watching her fall. The food tastes bland, her voice a hum in the background as I run through the details in my head. Every glance she gives me, every laugh, every time her hand brushes mine across the table. It's hollow now. She's not my wife anymore. She's the woman who sold me out for a man who's about to lose everything. But she's starting to sense it. Something isn't quite right. I can see it in her eyes, the way she looks at me with a hint of suspicion. She knows Derek's been uneasy too. He's mentioned discrepancies in his accounts. She's getting nervous. Careful now. Her late-night phone calls with Derek have become quieter, more secretive. They think they're adjusting, but I'm already 5 steps ahead. One evening, as I sit in my office, Emily walks in, her face tight with concern. She lingers in the doorway, watching me. I feel her eyes scanning me, trying to read my calm exterior, looking for cracks. Nathan, she says, her voice hesitant, have you noticed anything strange lately? About work? Or us? I glance up, my expression unreadable. Strange? No, everything seems fine. Her lips twitch into a smile, but there's no warmth behind it. She's testing me, trying to gauge whether I know more than I'm letting on, but she won't find anything, not until I decide it's time. Well, she says, brushing her hair behind her ear. Derek's been having some issues at work, just stress, I guess. I nod, keeping my voice neutral. Stress happens to everyone. She watches me a second longer before retreating. I let her go, knowing that the more nervous she becomes, the sloppier her decisions will be. It's only a matter of time. The next morning, I start feeding the information I've collected to one of Derek's competitors. Anonymously, of course, I leak just enough to spark interest. His unethical art investments, his shady deals with clients overseas. The vultures will start circling soon. When Derek's business partners get wind of what's happening, they'll turn on him. His empire will begin to crumble, and he'll never see it coming. I picture him in his pristine office, sipping expensive whiskey, thinking he's untouchable. Soon enough, he'll be drowning in scandals, desperate to save himself. Emily remains oblivious, though her anxiety is growing. I see it in the way she fidgets with her phone, checking messages from Derek more frequently. They're planning their escape, but time is running out. Every message they exchange brings them closer to their downfall. I can feel the tension rising between us, thickening the air in the house. Emily moves through our home with a sense of unease now, her confidence fading as Derek's troubles increase. She thinks she's still in control, still pulling the strings. She has no idea how wrong she is. One night, after another cryptic conversation with Derek, she slips into bed beside me, her body inches away, distant. I don't touch her. I lie awake, listening to her breath even out as she falls asleep, knowing that I've nearly finished setting the stage for their destruction. It's time to accelerate the plan. The next day, I schedule a private meeting with one of Derek's high-end clients, a collector who's already wary of his dealings. I drop hints about Derek's financial instability, carefully crafted accusations of fraud and unethical business practices. The collector doesn't need much convincing. He's heard whispers before, and now, with my gentle nudging, he's ready to sever ties. This is just the beginning. More clients will follow. As I leave the meeting, I feel the rush of control tightening around me. I'm dismantling Derek's life, piece by piece, and he's powerless to stop it. But then, a complication. Emily catches me off guard one evening. She walks into my office, her eyes sharp, her movements deliberate. She knows something is off, and she's no longer trying to hide her suspicion. You've been acting strange, she says, crossing her arms. What's going on with you? I look up from my computer, maintaining my calm. What do you mean? She steps closer, her voice lowering. I know something's happening. Derek's accounts, his business, things aren't adding up. He's been paranoid, and you're different. My heart races for a second, but I keep my composure. I don't know what you're talking about. Her eyes narrow. She's testing me again, trying to get under my skin, but I won't give her the satisfaction. If you know something, Nathan, she presses, you need to tell me. I stand, walking slowly toward her, closing the distance between us. Emily, I say softly, you've been keeping secrets from me for months. Do you really want to talk about honesty? Her face pales, her bravado faltering. She opens her mouth to say something, but the words die in her throat. I can see the doubt creeping in, the cracks forming in her confidence. She's not sure how much I know, and that uncertainty will eat away at her. Without another word, she turns and walks out of the room. I let her go, feeling the satisfaction of watching her unravel. She's on edge now, her mind racing. Perfect. The following day, I receive an email from one of Derek's business associates. The audit has begun. Derek's accounts are under investigation, and his partners are growing concerned. They've started pulling out of deals, distancing themselves from the inevitable collapse. It won't be long before Derek is buried in legal battles, his once flawless reputation in ruins. Emily is sinking with him. Her association with Derek, both professionally and personally, will drag her down. I've seen to that. I've leaked enough to ensure her name is tied to his financial misdeeds, her reputation tainted by the affair and the fallout. But I'm not done yet. I plan one final move, a confrontation that will break them both. I arranged for Emily and Derek to meet at a hotel under the guise of finalizing their plans to leave. They think they're escaping, running away to start their new life together. But I've made sure Derek's wife, Layla, knows everything. Layla arrives at the hotel with her lawyer, a detective, and enough evidence to destroy Derek in court. Emily and Derek walk into the trap without hesitation, unaware that their secret is about to become public. Cameras flash as Layla storms into the room, accusations flying. Emily's face goes pale, her hands trembling as she tries to deny everything. But it's too late. The damage is done. I watch from the shadows, savoring the moment. This is what I've been waiting for, their perfect little world crumbling around them. Derek panics, throwing Emily under the bus in a desperate attempt to save himself. He blames her for everything, claiming she manipulated him, that she was the mastermind behind the financial crimes. Emily, terrified and betrayed, stammers out denials, but no one believes her. The media catches wind of the scandal, and within hours it's splashed across headlines. Their lives are in ruins. I walk away from the hotel, the cold night air biting at my skin. I should feel victorious. I've destroyed them both, just as I planned. But as I leave the chaos behind, a strange emptiness settles in my chest. I've won, but at what cost? I watch from the shadows of the hotel's parking lot, the tension coiling inside me. My heart beats steady, controlled, as I wait for them. Emily's car pulls up first. She steps out, glancing around like she's checking for prying eyes. Her face is calm, but I know better. She's nervous. Derek arrives moments later, sliding out of his sleek black sedan. He strides over to her, his confidence almost irritatingly familiar. They don't touch. They can't risk it yet, not out in the open, but the look in their eyes, hungry, secretive, tells me everything. I stay still, watching as they head into the hotel, thinking they're about to escape the mess they've made. They think this is their fresh start. Little do they know, it's their undoing. Inside, I imagine Emily and Derek sharing furtive glances, believing they're safe. They're walking into the trap I've set for them. A final confrontation. Not with me, though. That would be too easy. I want them to be exposed for the liars they are, their reputations ripped apart just like my trust. Derek's wife, Layla, will handle that. It's only minutes before I see her arrive, flanked by her lawyer and a private investigator. Their faces grim, prepared for war. Layla looks every bit the part of the wronged wife, her expression cold as ice. She doesn't flinch as she walks into the hotel lobby, heading straight for the front desk. I stay back, just far enough to be invisible, but close enough to see everything. The way Layla moves, how Derek and Emily are about to be blindsided, it's like watching a slow-motion train wreck. The front desk clerk points Layla and her entourage toward the elevators, and they vanish from sight. I check my watch, the seconds ticking down in my mind. It won't be long now. Upstairs, I know exactly what's happening. Emily and Derek are likely settling in, thinking they've gotten away clean. Maybe they're already talking about the future they believe they'll have together. Maybe they've convinced themselves this is the right choice, that they deserve this. But I'm about to crush that fantasy. I walk toward the lobby, staying in the background as I make my way to the bar. I don't want to be seen. Not yet. From where I sit, I can see the elevators, the place where the storm will erupt any second. My drink arrives, but I barely touch it. The real satisfaction comes from knowing what's happening upstairs. Layla's voice cuts through the thin walls of the hotel room first. Loud, angry, demanding answers. Then the crash of something breaking. A vase maybe, followed by Derek's panicked voice. his smooth charm gone, replaced by the desperation of a man caught in a snare. Emily's higher-pitched pleas, almost hysterical, reach my ears next. She's trying to defend herself, to salvage whatever dignity she thinks she has left. I take a slow sip from my glass, feeling the warmth spread down my throat, but it's the scene unfolding upstairs that really fills me. Layla's hired a photographer, someone who captures the exact moment when Derek's world comes crashing down, when his lies, his betrayal, are laid bare for the world to see. The camera flashes, the shouting escalates, and Derek, so confident in every room he's ever walked into, is reduced to a caged animal. And Emily, my wife, I can hear the panic rising in her voice as she realizes the consequences are hitting her too. I imagine her trying to backtrack, trying to explain, but it's too late. There's no fixing this. I can almost hear Derek turning on her, blaming her for everything. The man who seduced my wife with promises of love and power now tries to wriggle out from under the wreckage by pinning it all on her. He claims she was the one who masterminded their scheme, that she manipulated him into everything: financial fraud, the affair, the lies. He's grasping at straws, and the desperation is palpable even from where I sit. I knew he'd fold the moment things got tough. He's too weak to own up to what he's done, too cowardly to face the consequences. And Emily? She's caught in the crossfire, her carefully constructed life falling apart at Derek's feet. She's terrified, scrambling, trying to salvage whatever scraps of her dignity are left. The media gets wind of the scandal within hours. Derek's face is plastered across every news outlet, headlines screaming about the financial crimes, the affair, the explosive confrontation. Emily's name is dragged through the mud as well. The art world, so quick to latch onto scandal, is ready to tear her down. The career she worked so hard to build is gone in an instant, her reputation in shreds. By the time I leave the hotel, my job is done. Everything is played out exactly as I planned. Derek's gallery is under investigation, his assets frozen, and he's facing legal action from all sides. His partners have abandoned him, his clients are suing, and his empire is crumbling. And Emily, she's lost everything. Her career, her future with Derek, her standing in the art world, it's all gone. But as I drive away, something settles in the pit of my stomach, a feeling I didn't expect. Hollow. I expected satisfaction, a sense of completion. But as I replay the events in my mind, as I think about Emily's terrified face, Derek's pathetic desperation, all I feel is emptiness. They're destroyed. Their lives are in ruins. I've taken everything from them, but it hasn't brought the peace I thought it would. Days pass and the fallout only intensifies. Derek's gallery is officially bankrupt. The legal battles are mounting, and it's clear he's not going to recover. Emily reaches out to me, calls, texts, even shows up at the house once. She's desperate, crying, begging for me to listen. She claims she never meant for things to go this far, that she was caught up in something beyond her control. I don't respond. I don't open the door when she shows up. I don't return her calls. I told myself I would be done with her, and I meant it. But it's not as satisfying as I imagined. The thrill of revenge has faded, and now I'm left with the wreckage. Late one night, I sit in my office staring at the mess of papers on my desk, printouts of bank transactions, emails, all the evidence I gathered to bring them down. It's done. I've won. But there's no closure. The doorbell rings, cutting through the silence. I hesitate, wondering if it's Emily again. But when I check the door, it's not her. It's Layla. She steps inside, her expression unreadable, but I can sense the purpose behind her visit. She's not here to thank me. No, she wants more. I know you're not finished with Derek, she says, her voice low and steady. Neither am I. She lays out her plan, siphoning what's left of Derek's assets, using the legal chaos to her advantage. It's a clean, calculated move. The final nail in his coffin. But as she talks, I feel a weight pressing down on me. Layla is driven, relentless in her pursuit of vengeance, and it's like looking into a mirror. I see myself in her, The cold precision, the hunger for justice, the need to destroy. It's what I've been doing all along. But now I see where it's led me. I'm done, I say, cutting her off. She blinks, surprised. What do you mean done? There's still more. No, I interrupt again. I've done enough. Layla stares at me, not understanding. She wants to finish Derek off, to leave nothing behind. But I can't do it anymore. Revenge, this obsession with destroying him, has taken everything from me too. She leaves disappointed, and I'm alone again. For the first time, I allow myself to feel the weight of what I've done. I've torn two lives apart. I've taken my revenge, but it hasn't healed me. If anything, it's left me more broken than I was before. The following morning, I pack away the evidence, the files, the proof of their affair, of Derek's crimes. I put it all in a box and shove it into the back of my closet, out of sight, out of mind. I don't know what comes next. But I know I can't keep living like this, trapped in the past, consumed by what they did to me. I've won. I've destroyed them. But revenge isn't the answer. It never was. As I sit in the quiet of my house, the faint morning light filtering through the windows, I realize it's time to start over. To let go. Emily and Derek are gone. Now I need to figure out who I am without them. The fallout from that night was swift and merciless. Derek's gallery collapsed under the weight of financial scandals, his reputation shredded beyond repair. Clients abandoned him and lawsuits piled up like debris in a wrecked building. The media feasted on the scandal, devouring every detail of his and Emily's affair. Headlines screamed their downfall, splashing their faces across screens, turning them into tabloid fodder. I watched it all unfold from a distance, knowing that I had engineered every piece of their destruction. But the satisfaction I thought would come never did. Instead, Upai-asan, there was a dull ache, a strange emptiness that crept into my chest. Emily tried to reach out to me, of course. She called, texted, left desperate voicemails, and even showed up at the house once, standing at the front door with tear-streaked cheeks, pleading for a conversation. But I couldn't face her. The sight of her, broken and desperate, stirred something inside me that I wasn't ready to confront. I stood behind the door, listening to her cry, my hand resting on the handle, but I didn't open it. I couldn't. It wasn't about forgiveness, not for her or for Derek. It was about me. I had accomplished what I set out to do. I had destroyed their lives with the same cold precision I'd always prided myself on. But now that it was over, there was nothing left to focus on, nothing left to plan. Only the ruins of a life I had once thought was perfect, now irreparably fractured. The phone rings again one evening, and I don't need to check the screen to know it's her. Emily, begging for closure, for understanding. I silence it and stare at the empty space around me, the quiet suffocating in its finality. I've become a ghost in my own home, drifting from room to room, with nothing anchoring me. Revenge, once my sole focus, has left me adrift. A few days later, I get a call from Layla. Her voice is steady, businesslike, the way it had been when she confronted Derek. She's not finished with him yet. She wants more. Revenge, complete and unrelenting. Layla doesn't just want him ruined. She wants him obliterated, legally, financially, and emotionally. She lays it all out for me, the plan to siphon the last of his remaining assets, to drag him through a legal hell so deep he'll never recover. I listen in silence, my thoughts racing. The offer is tempting. I could finish what I started, drive the final nail into Derek's coffin, ensuring there's nothing left for him to cling to. But something inside me pulls back. I'm done, I say, cutting her off mid-sentence. There's a pause. What do you mean, done? She asks, her voice sharp. We haven't even scratched the surface yet. I shake my head, even though she can't see me. I've done enough. Layla's disbelief is palpable through the phone. Nathan, this isn't just about Derek. It's about closure, about justice. No, I say firmly, it's about revenge, and I've had mine. Silence hangs between us, heavy and uncomfortable. Layla's breath catches as she struggles to understand. She wants to see Derek suffer, to drag him down further. But I'm not her, not anymore. I'm not interested in dragging this out. I continue, feeling the weight of my own words. It's over. Layla doesn't respond right away. When she finally speaks, her voice is cold. You're letting him get away with it. No, I say softly. I'm letting myself walk away. I hang up before she can argue, feeling a strange sense of relief wash over me. Layla wanted what I once did, complete annihilation. But after everything, I realized that there's no satisfaction in it. No peace, only emptiness. The days blur together after that. I'm no longer consumed by the need to destroy Derek or to watch Emily suffer. They've both fallen, and I had a hand in it, but now the pieces of their destruction are scattered, and I'm left alone in the wreckage. The hollowness I feel is impossible to ignore. One evening, I sit in my office, the faint glow of the computer screen casting shadows across the room. The files are still there, emails, financial statements, incriminating messages. Everything I'd used to bring them down is laid out in front of me, but now it feels pointless. I close the folders, my fingers hesitating over the delete button. But I can't bring myself to erase it all yet. It's not time. I leave the office and walk through the empty house. Every room feels like a reminder of what was lost. Pieces of my life with Emily, the moments we shared before it all fell apart. The house is clean, organized, but it feels dead, sterile. I stop at the front door where Emily had once stood, begging for me to let her in. I hadn't opened it then. I hadn't let her explain. Not that it would have changed anything. But I realize as I stand there now that I've trapped myself in my own prison, locked behind a door I refuse to open. The next day I pack up the files, the evidence, the remnants of my revenge, and store them in a box. It feels like a small act, but it's something. I shove the box into the back of a closet, closing the door on it. For the first time in weeks, I feel lighter. Emily hasn't reached out again since that night. She must have realized there's no point. Her life is shattered, and I'm the reason. Part of me wonders if she's putting it back together or if she's just living in the ruins. I don't know, and for the first time, I don't care. It's not my responsibility to watch her suffer anymore. I sit outside one evening watching the sunset from the back porch. The sky is a deep orange fading into purple, and the air is cool against my skin. I breathe in, feeling a strange sense of calm I haven't felt in months. Maybe it's the realization that it's over. Really over. The sound of the wind rustles through the trees, and for the first time, the quiet feels peaceful, not suffocating. I lean back in the chair, letting the stillness settle around me. Revenge had consumed me, driven me to destroy everything that once mattered. But now that it's done, I'm left with the chance to rebuild, to move forward. I don't know what comes next. I don't know if I'll ever forgive Emily or forget what happened. But I do know that I have a choice. I can stay locked in this endless loop of anger and regret, or I can start living again. The scars of what happened will always be there, etched into my memory, but they don't have to define me. I can let them heal, slowly, over time. I can start over, not as the man who was betrayed, but as someone who survived it. As the sun dips below the horizon, I stand up and walk back inside. The house feels different now, less like a prison and more like a place where something new can grow. It's not a perfect ending, but it's real, and maybe that's enough. I don't know where this path will lead, but for the first time, I'm not looking back. I'm looking forward. Layla's eyes lock onto mine the moment I enter the cafe. It's quiet here, intentionally so. We didn't need an audience for what she's about to propose. She's sitting with her back straight, her hands wrapped around a cup of coffee, but there's nothing casual about her presence. Her face is taut, the tension in her jaw visible. I sit down across from her, keeping my own posture relaxed, but I can feel the weight of what's coming between us. I'm glad you came, she says, her voice calm but with an edge that cuts through the pleasantries. I nod, not interested in small talk. Layla doesn't waste time. She never has. You know Derek's finished, she continues. What happened at the hotel was the final nail in his coffin. He's buried in lawsuits, the media's crucified him, and he has nothing left. She says this with a tone that should carry satisfaction, but there's a hunger in her words. She's not done. I can feel it. And she's expecting me to finish this with her. You want to bleed him dry, I state, not a question. Her eyes flash, the barest hint of a smile touching her lips. Exactly, she says, leaning forward slightly. You and I, we've done enough damage to his reputation, but he still has assets, hidden funds he's tucked away. You know how these men operate. They always have something stashed for when things go south. I know. Of course I know. Derek's financial trail isn't completely erased, just damaged enough to start the collapse. But Layla, she wants to take everything from him. The last remnants of his wealth, his security. She wants to finish him completely. I can see the cold determination in her eyes, the same look I once saw in my own reflection when I began this. She lays out the plan with precision. It's all legal for the most part. She wants my help navigating the complexities of Derek's remaining assets, ensuring there's no escape for him. Her proposal is meticulous, methodical, and ruthless. I should be excited, thrilled at the idea of twisting the knife deeper into Derek's back. But instead, something inside me recoils. I can't, I say, cutting her off mid-sentence. Layla stops, blinking as if she didn't hear me right. What do you mean? I'm done, I repeat, my voice firm. I've done enough. She stares at me, disbelief flickering across her face. Nathan, you're so close. We're so close. You can't just walk away now. I can, I say, leaning back in my chair. And I am. Layla shakes her head, frustration creeping into her expression. This isn't about letting him off the hook. You know that, right? He doesn't deserve anything after what he's done. I know, I say. But this isn't about him anymore. It's about me. She watches me closely, her anger simmering beneath the surface. I can tell she's about to argue, to push me into continuing down this path with her. But I can't. I won't. What's changed? She asks almost accusingly. Everything, I say simply. I leave her sitting there, stunned, her plans unraveling as I walk out of the cafe. The air feels different outside, heavier but clearer, as if I've just broken free of something that's been holding me down. The grip of revenge, the need to see Derek and Emily suffer had consumed me. But now I see it for what it is, poison. And I've had enough. As I drive back home, the memories of everything I've done over the past few months flood my mind. The careful planning, the way I destroyed Emily's career and Derek's life, piece by piece. I thought it would give me peace, but all it's done is hollow me out. I pull into the driveway, the house looming in front of me like a monument to what once was. This place had been our home, Emily's and mine. Now it's just walls and furniture, devoid of the life we'd built together. I walk inside, the silence thick around me. My office still holds the remnants of my revenge. Files, emails, evidence of every move I made to bring them down. I stand there for a moment, staring at the papers scattered across the desk. This was my war room, where I plotted and planned their downfall. And now it feels empty, meaningless. I gather the files, stack them neatly, and place them into a box. It's time to put it all away. As I shove the box into the back of the closet, I feel a strange sense of closure. I'm not erasing what happened. I'm not forgetting the betrayal. But I'm choosing to move forward. Emily hasn't contacted me in weeks. Maybe she's finally given up. Maybe she's trying to rebuild her life from the ashes I left her in. Part of me wonders if she's found solace in Derek, but after everything that's happened, I doubt it. They were both too broken by the time I was done with them. I sit in the quiet of my living room, the faint hum of the refrigerator, the only sound. The emptiness of the house isn't as suffocating as it used to be. It's just space now, space that I can fill with something new. For the first time in months, I allow myself to think about what comes next. I have no interest in rekindling my relationship with Emily. There's no path back to what we had. Too much damage has been done, and I'm not the man I was before all of this. I don't even want to be. But as I sit there, I realize I'm not the man I was when I started this either. Revenge was my obsession, my fuel, and now that it's over, I'm left with the reality of what that's done to me. I'm not bitter, I'm not angry, I'm just tired of being consumed by the past. I step outside, the cool night air hitting my face. The stars are bright above, the world moving on as if nothing happened. And maybe that's the truth. Life moves on, with or without you. For so long, I was stuck in a loop of rage and betrayal, thinking that destroying Emily and Derek would set me free. But now, standing here, I realize that freedom comes from letting go. I don't know what my life looks like without them, without the weight of what they did to me hanging over everything. But I'm willing to find out. I'm ready to rebuild. A few days later, I pack a small suitcase and leave the house. No grand gestures, no final goodbyes. Just a decision to walk away from the place that held so much pain. I drive out of the city, the road stretching ahead of me, open and endless. I don't have a destination in mind, but I don't need one. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm in control of my choices. The past no longer defines me. The revenge, the betrayal, the destruction, it's behind me now. As I drive, I think about the future. It's uncertain, but that's okay. There's a strange sense of peace in not knowing, in letting life unfold without forcing it. I spent so much time trying to control everything to make sure every piece of my revenge fell into place. But now I'm letting go. Maybe one day I'll cross paths with Emily again, maybe not. But whatever happens, I know I'll be ready. I'm stronger now, not because of the revenge, but because I survived it. I made it through the storm, and now I'm stepping into something new. The road ahead is long, but for the first time, I'm not looking back. I'm moving forward, 1 mile at a time, toward a future that's mine to shape. I sit alone in the quiet of my home, the echoes of what I've done still lingering in the air. The house feels different now, less like the battlefield it once was and more like a place that's finally starting to heal. My war is over, but it didn't end the way I expected. I thought revenge would feel like victory. Instead, it feels like exhaustion. I've destroyed Derek. His gallery is gone, his name tarnished beyond repair. The man who took everything from me, my trust, my wife, now has nothing. Emily, too, is a shadow of who she once was. Her career in the art world, once so carefully curated, is now in ruins. She's been fired, publicly humiliated, and left with nothing but the wreckage of her choices. But the truth is, I don't feel the triumph I expected. I don't feel whole. If anything, I feel more broken now than when I first discovered her betrayal. The anger that once fueled me is gone, replaced by a strange emptiness. Revenge didn't heal the wounds, it just deepened them. I think about the moment Layla tried to pull me deeper into her plan. She wanted more destruction, more vengeance. It was almost seductive, the idea of squeezing every last drop of suffering from Derek and Emily. But as I sat across from her in that cafe, something shifted inside me. I saw in her the same obsession that had consumed me, and I knew where it would lead. It would never stop. The need for revenge is insatiable. It eats at you, devours every part of who you are until there's nothing left. I could have kept going, helped Layla finish the job, but I chose to walk away. Not for them, Derek and Emily don't deserve mercy, but for myself. I've lost enough. Now, sitting here in the stillness, I wonder where to go from here. The last few months have been consumed by my need for revenge, but with that fire gone, there's a void. I'm free from the obsession, but I'm also untethered, floating through the aftermath without any real sense of direction. I stare at the box I tucked away in the closet, the evidence of their affair, the financial records, the photos. It's all there, locked away, a reminder of what I've done. But I don't need to look at it anymore. The need to revisit those moments, to replay every step of their betrayal, has faded. I stand, walking over to the closet, and pull the box out. I carry it to the kitchen, set it on the table, and just look at it for a moment. It's heavy, not just in weight, but in what it represents. Every paper, every file is a piece of the life I used to have, a life that's gone now. Without hesitation, I open the box and start shredding the contents, one piece at a time. It's cathartic, watching the pages disappear, turning into nothing but strips of meaningless paper. I don't need this anymore. I don't need to hold on to the pound, to the anger. I've punished them. I've taken back control of my life, and now it's time to let go. Once the box is empty, I throw it out. I'm done, really done. As the days pass, I begin to rebuild, not in some dramatic, sweeping way, but in small steps. I return to work, fall back into my routines. I start going out more, seeing old friends I'd pushed away during the chaos. Life starts to feel normal again, though there's a heaviness that lingers. I know I'm not the same man I was before all this started. I don't think I ever will be, but maybe that's okay. There's a scar left behind from what Emily did to me, and it's deep. Some nights I still think about her, about the life we had. I wonder if she's picked up the pieces, if she's found a way to move on. Part of me hopes she has. Another part of me doesn't care. I don't need closure from her. I don't need her apology, her regret. I don't need anything from her. I've learned that revenge doesn't fix what's broken. It doesn't give you back what you've lost. It just leaves you with ashes, with the hollow remains of what once mattered. But it's a lesson I had to learn for myself. And now I'm learning how to move forward. As I sit on the back porch one evening watching the sunset, I feel a strange sense of peace. It's quiet, the kind of quiet that doesn't feel oppressive but freeing. The air is cool, the sky a deep orange fading into purple. It's beautiful in its own way. For the first time in months, I feel like I can breathe without the weight of everything pressing down on my chest. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if I'll ever fully heal from what happened, but I do know that I'm not trapped by it anymore. I'm not defined by what Emily and Derek did to me. I'm not defined by the revenge I took. I'm more than that. The scars will always be there, reminders of what I've been through. But scars are proof of survival. They're proof that I faced something dark, something painful, and came out the other side. I get up, stretch, and head back inside the house. It's just a house now, not a place of memories, of betrayals, or revenge plots. Just a house. I'm ready to leave it behind, to walk away from all of it. Tomorrow I'll start something new. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm ready. I'm no longer tied to the past, no longer driven by anger or bitterness. I'm free, and that's all I need.